Well, we're making some good progress on this manure spreader, and I've had a number of visitors over this past week that have come in, and they've been watching this and they have asked me, well, what did you have to start with again? And it's kind of interesting how we can forget where we came from to where we are at, and that pertains to more things in life than just this manure spreader. But this is where we started, if you remember. And this is where we're at now, and we're not quite done yet. I did get the front end in and some cleats. Now this is the iron that's going to control the arm that controls the engagement of this whole mechanism. Well, there's one thing that's constant, and that's this hole that should go right through this joint. And from the pictures that I've been sent by Jeff Marshall, it looks like this is pretty well centered right in this position here. So I'm going to say that's my constant. But this has the option of varying to a different degree, pivoting on this bolt. So I've been kind of playing with this a little bit, and I think if I kind of clamp it into place where I think this constant is, this end here has the option of moving up and down. And I'm not quite sure where that position is yet, so I think I can kind of hold it somewhere close. Like I say, I'm not sure where it's supposed to be yet. Now, inside of this arch is this arm here that controls engage and disengage. Well, this pivots on an iron down here as well. And that's kind of an interesting casting. Kind of had me puzzled for a bit until I saw the picture of Jeff Marshall's. And it seems like it goes in this position, and I'm not sure just what height that is. So I'm going to clamp that somewhere in this position until I know where that fits. It's going to fit somewhere in here. So again, this arm pivots on a bolt here. Kind of like so. So if I were to put a little mark here, right there, it should follow this arch. Well, according to this needs to be a little higher over here. I don't know if I have that much height to gain. That's at the top of my board here. So maybe this side needs to come down just a fuzz. Maybe more like so. Have an equal arch. So it looks like I need to be about flush with my wood, and my bolt is going to go right through this sideboard and this cleat. Right through here. And the question is, how do I mark that? I wonder if this will work. A piece of chalk is about the right size. See what that does. Should be right there, huh? Double check my arch. So the location of this lower bracket is butted up against this first upright framework, but I don't know what position up or down it should be. We're somewhat limited in where that can be. Have you been noticing all this traffic noise in the background? You know, my shop is right here on Main Street in Joliet. Hear that? Well, this summer, for the last month, and it could be through the whole summer, there is a fairly extensive sewer replacement project going on. So we have got track hose and dump trucks, semis, loaders, skid steers, graders. This town is just a beehive with heavy equipment being operated. So there is a lot of traffic going by the front of the shop. And then summertime, since we're right on Highway 212, and this is the main entrance to the north entrance into Yellowstone Park, goes over Beartooth Pass, so we have got motorcycles galore, the Harleys, which are the loudest ones. So you're going to hear a lot of this traffic noise in the background, and I've got my front door shut, and I really don't know what to do about it other than say we're going to be extremely noisy this summer with lots of traffic. With all that said, to figure out where the location of this is height-wise, I need to repair this spring-loaded pin that is missing. I have part of what's left, and I'll show you how that works. This is what was left of the casting that held the pin that engaged and disengaged this top roller that we just put in. So this slides up and down here. The back of this top is broken and it comes down quite a little bit longer. There's a spring here and then a wire that attaches this handle to this that brings this up and down as needed. So it's going to work somewhat like so. Well, the right side is still there intact. It still has a mechanism complete. But this gearing is completely different than what is on the left side. So this has 2 rows of teeth, and interestingly enough, one row is faced one direction and the back row is faced the other direction. And it has corresponding teeth inside this mechanism here too. So wherever it is positioned, it has a stop both front and back. But this body style here is basically what is on this other one. You can see the similarities, but the whole bottom portion of this is gone. And this would have just, maybe a 1/2-inch pin that goes into those solid square slots that are extreme forward and back. But this is very similar. A spring here as well, just like this one. So the question is, how do I duplicate this? This has to slide. It was cast. I don't have the ability to cast. I've got some old farm equipment out on our little playground place. I have some spring tooth harrows, I have some spike tooth harrows, I have a couple of offset discs. I'm going to go out and see if there isn't maybe a mechanism off of one of those that would work here. I doubt it'd be the same, but it's worth a look. This spring has been really a wet spring. We've had 2 different rains that have brought close to 4 inches of rain apiece. So the grass is really green and the cows are really liking it. There was a day, 25, 30 years ago when I was working with my horses. I had a crossbred draft team and I was picking up these harrows, spring tooth harrow I used quite a little bit. And I never did use these offset discs. And there's some parts that have been robbed off of these, and it would take really quite a little bit of work to get them to work again. So I do have one here that I think I can salvage. Not sure it'll work, but it's sure worth a try. Well, this is about a 1/2-inch pin, and it would fit right in there. Not too bad in this back position. And it's all right in the front position, but this bolt is going to be a problem. Since this is bolted to the handle different than the other one, this bolt is going to interfere with this bolt. I could maybe rivet this instead of bolt it. That might make it clear. They are different. See, this one slides, this whole mechanism slides, where this one, it would have to be bolted permanently. Looks like I'd probably have to get rid of this. And then just the pin moves instead of this whole mechanism moving. And a problem there, I can see there's a heavy iron wire that connects this handle to this, where with this mechanism it would be right in line. This one it wouldn't be. I could take and make a different pin and shape it over to where it was in this direction maybe. Put it more in line over here. and use the casting. That might work, but would that be better to use this casting? That other casting kind of has me puzzled how I'm going to make it to where it slides on this whole thing. I guess if I pulled this roll pin and remove this pin, I could save this pin, make a new one, and see if it worked. If it didn't work, then I guess my next option is to try to fabricate something that would replace this. Will that allow me to sandblast this anyway? You know, there are some times that I just continue to be amazed at the design of some of this old stuff. Now, I expected these bolts to be more of a plow bolt with a square shoulder down here. But you see a little tab made right into this bolt. And there's a little square like a keyway cast into that. And that little tab fits right in to that keyway to keep it from turning. And it's that way on both of them. See the little keyway there? The tab on that bolt? That tab fits right in that little keyway. Little design things like that just continue to amaze me. All to keep that bolt from spinning when you tighten up the nut. You know, it's odd how something that seemingly is so simple can take so long to put together. So it was a combination of pilfering my bone pile and a little bit of fabrication as well. But I think it's going to work. Appreciate you coming along. Thanks for watching.